Hello, welcome to Lyons Pride, and we're here to celebrate April Students of the Month. I'm Steve Murray, principal of the high school, and we're here with our host, Al Thomas, and our also co-host, Dean Lyons from Emerson House. And we're going to start with Emerson students today, and we'll start off first, and we'll turn it over to Dean Lyons. He'll introduce our first student, and we'll get to know our people we're celebrating.
All right, thanks, Principal Murray. Great to be here. It's my honor to introduce our first Emerson student, Manognya Sripathi. Manognya is an AP student, takes multiple AP courses. She's a member of our National Honor Society, French Honor Society, Math and Science team, speech and debate team. This girl does it all. She's quite an amazing individual. She's started taking online college courses, volunteers at Leahy Hospital. She's quite an impressive young lady, so welcome today.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things you talked about at Rotary the other day was I think you did 2 independent studies.
Yep.
Want to tell us a little bit about those 2 things?
Sure. So the first independent study I took up was during this fall with Ms. Kelly, where we worked on researching with biotechnology. So I helped her with her PhD research, and we figured out how a protein interacted with calcium and tried to see what different experiments could do with it. And we even got to visit UMass Lowell on different occasions to work on labs. The other one, I'm working with the science department coordinator, Mr. Morris, and that one we're working on aquaponics. So we currently have a couple aquariums with fish, and we're upcycling the water and seeing how it affects the plants that grow above.
You get a pretty busy schedule going on, and one of the other things that you do, you're a student mentor. Can you talk a little bit about what you do and who you're mentoring and how that's going?
Yeah, so I'm mentoring 2 boys, Pat and Chris.
Yep.
So basically, it's a really great program where I get to meet with them once a month, and we talk about any questions that they have, the activities, the clubs, stuff like that. So it's really great to look up to a person. I know that I personally looked up to my senior mentor. She had a lot of great information, great advice. So I try to do my best to relaying whatever I can. So I go back and think, if I was a freshman and if I had something that I wanted to know, like, what would I tell them? So I tell them what I know and what I think that'll be helpful for them.
That's great. So the other thing, I was at the international lunch the other day at Chelmsford High School, and we got to see a great deal of performances, and you performed. Can you talk a little bit about what you're performing and some of the things that you do outside of school, which certainly contribute to who you are as a person?
Right. So during the international lunch, I did 2 acts. I did one where I sang and one where I danced. So the one where I sang was a fusion between Shape of You, which is a pop song which is really popular, and we mixed it with a traditional Indian song so that it has both. So it's something that I'm really passionate about, and it's 2 types of music that I really love, and for me to bring it together and sing it gives me a lot of happiness. So I also danced a traditional Indian form of dance. Though I don't dance as often, I do sing a lot.
That's great.
It's impressive.
Just looking at next year, have you thought about where you want to go and continue your studies?
I'm still thinking about college. I haven't made up my mind, but I'm looking to major in biomedical engineering because I think that's really cool. I'm planning to go down the medical devices line and help that way.
So how is some of the online courses you've taken, I know you've taken a course through Georgetown University, how has that prepared you for the next steps, the process of college?
Right, so going off of that, that's my major, like biomedical engineering, and it's a lot of interactions between technology and humans, and there hasn't really been rules about what's ethical and what's not. So this bioethics course really asked the deep questions and, asked me, made me think about the stuff that I don't usually think about. So it promoted me to, further my thinking in that field.
That's great. Well, really great to get to meet you and
Thank you.
hear your story today.
Thank you.
One of the things that she's involved with is RILA, the Rotary Leadership,
Yep.
and this year she's one of 6 kids that essentially run the whole conference, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, that's great.
So on behalf of the Chelmsford Rotary Club, I present you with this plaque and wish you the very best next year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, our next Emerson student is Devin Kenney. I'd like to welcome Devin to the show. He's currently enrolled in a pretty rigorous course load. He takes an AP government course, international relations, different math courses. He's the co-president of the CHS International Relations Club, which is really cool. He spent last summer at the Khan Academy preparing for a multitude of courses, calculus, AP stats. He enjoys music, playing the violin, the guitar. Really interesting young man. He really enjoys studying physics, wants to get into potentially going to school and working with physics or space. So welcome today.
Thank you.
All right. So Devin, can you talk a little bit about what the International Relations Club is and what your role in that is?
Yeah, of course. So international relations, we call it that, but in reality we prepare students for Model UN at various universities. Just the other week we did one at UMass Lowell, where our students, our members, are assigned countries to represent in various committees. I represented India in environmental, where we worked on topics such as pollution and environmental sustainability. And really it's just a way to prepare kids long term to be future leaders in kind of crusade in the issues that we face globally. And hopefully we can create some leaders to solve these issues.
So you're going to be really passionate about this to devote this much time to it. In talking to your counselor, Mrs. O'Neill, she said you're quite an interesting guy, unconventional thinker, and likes to study, quote, the universe, the natural world, and the human condition. So what's that all about?
So, I mean, I think that comes kind of, I have a various background of interests. So while I do enjoy math, physics, science, all those sorts of sciences, I also do enjoy classes like government and sort of like ways that we can cooperate as humans. So in that quote, it's kind of like everything, like how we cooperate together, how the universe works, just kind of all of it.
That's great. So what classes have really contributed to your passions here at Chelmsford High School over the last few years?
I'll say physics has really geared me towards physics the most as a major and career, but courses such as government have really opened my eyes to how our government works, as well as interactions between people in government. I'll say that statistics was extremely interesting. It's probably one of my favorite math courses because it taught me a lot about how you can use numbers and kind of the world around us, how it works, to really display, and we can kind of understand how to use those numbers to our advantage.
That's great. And you enjoyed playing music quite a bit, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
So you self-taught? Are you taking lessons?
So violin, I started 4th grade in the music program at South Row. And I've done that with the Chelmsford Public Schools Orchestra ever since. Recently, I've taken up bass guitar. My friends have always had a band, and they never had bass, and they knew I played violin. So they let me borrow a bass, and I've been teaching myself for about 5 months now.
That's great.
It's going great, yeah.
And just talk a little bit about, you mentioned you'll be the first one in your family to attend a 4-year college. What does that mean to your family and to you?
So my mom has her associates in nursing, and my father went to the Navy right after high school. So there's not a lot of formal long-term education in my current family, and I'm really hoping that I've seen it's almost like a cycle for a lot of families, that if I can get into extended post-education, that hopefully maybe in the future I'll have a family that will eventually be able to get into that cycle and won't have to worry about education and finding a career, and hopefully they'll be all set.
All right. So what do you plan to do in terms of, you have a lot of things you're interested in outside of academics. When you go next year to college, what things are you going to be able to juggle, keep, or not?
I think one thing I'm really going to keep is Model UN. That's by far one of my favorite club's activities. It's really taught me a lot about research, public speaking, confidence, and just being able to discuss these worldly issues with other people of all sorts of backgrounds. I want to stick with music. The other day at our musical competition, Micah, one of the adjudicators told us that you all have great talents, keep that. And that really just left a mark on me. And since then, I've just really wanted to stay with violin and bass guitar.
Good for you.
Good plan, Devin.
Congratulations. We're really proud of you.
Thank you. Nice job.
Very good. Thank you.
You've had a great career at Chelmsford High School, and I'm sure that you'll take your talents and be very successful at the next level also. And on behalf of the Rotary, I want to present you with this plaque and wish you the very best.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Devin.
Our next student of the month is from Hawthorne House. It's Mia Kelly. Mia Kelly is fully engrossed in her academics with AP Psychology, AP Literature and Composition. but she's really known for all the work she does with our theater guild. She's done a lot of work with the theater guild. She's serving as an actor and choreographer and a production assistant. She's also a choreographer and a camp counselor at Applause Academy, and you were nominated for a Tammy Award for choreography as well, as in addition to being in the Thursdays a cappella group and a mentor. You've got quite a full plate. We're really proud of you. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm not going to ask you about music yet. How did you get into jewelry?
Well, I work at Charles Frederick Jewelers in North Chelmsford, and my friend worked there before me just as an assistant jeweler, and then when she went off to college, they asked for a recommendation for someone who was friendly and willing to learn about jewelry, and so she recommended me, and it's super fun. I love working there.
Well, that's great. The Thursdays for the last couple of years have just been fantastic and drawn all kinds of praise. What's been the highlight as you've been involved in that for you?
Well, I love performing with the Thursdays. It's my favorite thing I think I do at Chelmsford High. But the highlight was definitely last year when we traveled to the national finals in New York City, and we got to spend the weekend in New York City and perform on a stage in front of all these schools from different countries around the world. And it was amazing to see all the different music that they produced, and it was awesome for us to perform in New York as well.
And you're going back?
We are.
And you've got to be really, there's a certain amount of pressure though that comes with representing,
Definitely.
At least this part of, is the whole country or this part of the country that you represent?
Technically it's the whole nation, but it's usually only groups from America because not many other countries around the world really do a cappella. Yeah. But last year we got to watch the college competition, and they had groups from the UK there, and so that was really cool.
Well, that's great. At the other day at Rotary, you spoke about Miss Rada. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about her a little bit and give her some credit if she's impacted you that much?
Of course. So Ms. Rader has been my director for course for the past 4 years and for the Thursdays, and she musically directs the musicals too. So she's been a huge part of my life at the high school, and I think she influenced me the most because she's always supported me in everything that I've done with the arts, and I'm choosing to pursue a career in the arts after high school, and I think it was really her that gave me that confidence and musicality to pursue this as a career.
You've been involved in several different dimensions of theater.
Mm-hmm.
Usually people, they kind of, like I'm on stage or I hide behind stage. What kind of satisfaction do you get from those different roles?
Well, I love acting on stage. Being on stage is definitely the most fun thing I can do in the world, but I really enjoy doing the choreography for the shows. Me and my friend Justine have been doing the choreography for the past 3 CHS musicals, and that's just one of the most rewarding experiences, not only to get to work with your friend to create all the choreography, but to get to see your creative vision come alive on stage. And then we got recognized for it last year for an award, and that was just amazing. To see the recognition for what we worked so hard for.
Were you involved with choreography in this year's musical?
I was.
That was an army of dances.
Oh, it was a lot. It was so fun.
It was.
And guys, I mean, there aren't a lot, well, at least in my experience, there aren't a lot of guys that dance a lot.
Speak for yourself, Al.
That was, oh, I didn't know you were. Well, obviously I'm in the presence of a stud. I got to tell you, he doesn't know that I was with Dancing with the Stars.
That's right, you were.
I was. I was the top loser.
There you go.
Well, what's been you've done so many different roles. What's been your one favorite role, if you had to choose one?
I think my favorite role was this year in Anything Goes, being Irma. That was definitely the biggest role I've had to take on, and it was the most fun. It's, I don't know if anyone saw the show, but it's the polar opposite of what I am as a person. And I got to perform this awesome number, and yeah, that was a huge experience for me, and I loved that.
Great.
Well, again, you've been a real star at Chelmsford High School, and I hope you're a star at Hofstra and long after that.
Thank
So
you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Our next student of the month is also from Hawthorne, and it's Charles Wood. We know him as Max. Max is, as I said, with me, fully invested. He's AP American Government, AP English Literature and Composition, does pre-calc, public speaking, which he's very good at, guitar. He's a member of our theater guild, Key Club, Thomas Jefferson Forum, and the list goes on. What I'm most impressed about is the amount of volunteer time he does to help the people around him. He does the Paul Center Gala event, the Cornham Soup Kitchen, Lowell General Hospital, St. Mary's, Hunt for a Cure community read-in. He does a lot for our school and for our community. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Now, this is a very serious question. In head of the class, you know that room that was on the right side of the set, the storage room? That's all fiction, right?
I sure hope so.
Well, as a former principal, so do I. That was fun. It was really an enjoyable production.
Rewarding to do.
I'm sure. Being a class rep, in the first couple of years maybe isn't as important, but it comes around junior year and senior year, it starts to really step up. What kinds of things have you been involved in, and how has it been valuable to you to be a rep?
I mean, currently, as a senior, most of the things we do around class reps mostly center around prom and other senior events that sort of only pertain to the senior class as a whole. And really, in class reps, it is most rewarding to see the teamwork that goes into it. I know that when you have to work in a group of like-minded individuals, you can only agree so much on one certain thing, but it's nice to have such a well-rounded group of people who have all these different ideas. So when we do things in class reps, it's not difficult to come up with these amazing ideas. It's nice to have other people who bring different things to the table too.
And raising money is huge. Right?
Very big.
Yes, very big thing. Okay. Did you compete in DECA this year?
I did. I competed in the business finance series.
And I know in some cases you write and in some you speak and so forth. What was the nature of that activity?
The nature of business finance mostly has to do with how companies deal with their assets and the capital and how it goes through the interworking parts of a business. In my category, I was mostly tasked with getting an assignment of what a company is looking to do. So I know in one of my role plays, I had a company who wanted to decide what kind of insurance they wanted to buy, and because they were located in a hurricane-prone area, and it was my job to address the situation and inform the owners what their options were as far as insurance and how we could pull money from different accounts to satisfy that.
Very good. I see you're going to Holy Cross next year. Your long-term goal is to do what after you ace Holy Cross? Then what?
I would say that my long-term goal right now is to obtain a degree in history and maybe international studies and eventually go to law school. And I don't quite know what section of law I'd like to practice, but I know that it would be in that general field.
Okay. It was mentioned at the very beginning that you've been very active in terms of community service. Was there any particular event or activity that was particularly rewarding when in that field?
I would definitely say that the most rewarding one I ever got to partake in was the Hunt for a Cure with the Paul Center, just because I got to see the impact and the excitement that it generated firsthand, and it was really rewarding to set up the cabin and watch the kids come through and play games with them. It was probably the highlight of the season.
Well, that's great. It's wonderful when that benefits the person that's serving as well as the people who that you're there for. So, again, on behalf of the Chelmsford Rotary Club, we're proud that you have achieved so much in Chelmsford, and we wish you the very best over the next few years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The next student of the month is from Whittier House, and it's Margaret Potter. Margaret Potter does the AP English Literature. She's AP Spanish and Psychology. She's also National Honor Society Treasurer. You'll probably see her on TV. You've got her autograph. It's the CHS student representative to the school committee. She works very actively in the theater guild. She's the hairstylist. And some of her achievements, she's the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship winner, and she's a regional winner for the Mass Bar Association Sweet 16 Award. She's quite a resume. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So what's been the highlight of your serving on the school committee?
I would say it's just really,
You can say whatever you want to say.
It'll go better.
it's definitely opened my eyes to, I feel like as a high schooler, you really just focus on, your school, and it really opened my eyes to see the community as a whole. And, maybe I'll like to get involved in town politics someday, but I don't know. It was a very interesting experience and eye-opening, I would say.
It was eye-opening for me also. You've received the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. I don't know that we've ever really talked about that. Could you explain what was involved in getting that?
Yeah, so it was for MCAS, so I think it was just I received it advanced on the English and math sections. Therefore, I think if I go to a state school, I'm eligible for it.
Very good. Painting the interior of the school, I assume you went with a church group probably?
Yes, I did.
And we want to talk a little bit about that, where you went and what you did, because Chelmsford sends groups up to Maine as well as, down to the poorer parts of the Carolinas and different places. So maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I went with my church with St. Mary's, and it was for Catholic Heart Work Camp. So we went to Allentown, Pennsylvania, and we were divided into different groups with teens from all over the country. And so my group was assigned to go to a Catholic elementary school in downtown Allentown. And our task was just to paint all the stairwells in the school. So it was just a wonderful experience. It was tedious, sanding and then scraping and then painting and everything. But I was so grateful for all the people I met, and we got to meet the custodial staff there, who were a great help, and they cooked us this huge meal at the end, and so they were really grateful, and I wish I could have done even more for them.
Another activity among many was being involved with mock trial. What was the case about this year?
So the case this year, it was a civil case, and it was about this man who took out a life insurance policy, and then I think 3 months later he died in a propane tank explosion. So the plaintiff is claiming that this was an accident, but the defense is defending the life insurance company, saying that it was a suicide. So it was a very interesting case, and it's different from the one last year too. So.
What part were you in? Were you a witness or a lawyer? Or?
I was a defense lawyer, so I provided the opening statement and I did a cross-examination.
Well, what we've learned is that all of these things, whether it's Decker or mock trial, whenever you have to stand and deliver, they're all very valuable activities. What do you paint beside the house in Pennsylvania? I see that you're involved in painting.
I just I like to watercolor paint in my free time because it's relaxing and fun. So.
And you have free time.
Enjoy shopping.
Have you made a
great.
decision about college yet?
Not yet. I think I'm looking most into Providence, so I'll probably end up there.
Have you been to all of them?
Yes.
That's good. That's well, they're all great schools. Your theater involvement, obviously, it shows up in a lot of different ways. But what's been the highlight of your involvement in theater?
I would say, so I've acted and participated on the board, but I think the most rewarding experience was being the head hairstylist. I've started my sophomore year, and then this year I was the leader of the committee, and it's just a really fun and has shown me that all aspects of a production matter, not just those on stage, and so that was definitely the most rewarding.
Well, that's great. Well, I want to thank you in advance for your service on school committee. It's not easy being there, but you've done great things in many areas in Chelmsford, and take those talents and make us proud when you move on.
I will. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congrats. All right, we conclude our April Student of the Month with our Whittier House student, Malik Alwani. Malik is involved in a variety of rigorous courses, including AP Physics, AP Government, Honors International Relations, Pre-Calc. He's a member of the CHS All Sports Boosters, Class Reps, International Relations, Improv Troupe. He volunteers at a variety of different places like UMass Model UN, New England Youth Alliance, Interfaith Organizations, Habitat for Humanity, and he wants to attend college and study international relations with a minor in business. So welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
The other day you mentioned that your dad was from Liberia and that you'd gone there.
Libya.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Libya. Oh, they have it right here. I didn't even read it right.
No problem.
Anyway, going over there, how's that experience different from your experience here?
Well, I've gone 3 times now. I've gone when I was 3, when I was 9, and when I was 11. And the first time I ever went, I didn't really understand it. I was still really young. Sure. It was just like kind of just a fun time for me. But as I got older, the last time I went, when I was 11, it was at the time when there was a lot of like political like action being done within like the civilians against Gaddafi, who was a dictator. And I actually started to look into it, and that's one of the reasons why I started to fall in love with international relations and global affairs.
Did you feel safe when you were there?
Well, at the time, I didn't know there was any problems there.
Yeah, okay.
Because my parents didn't feel like telling me that.
Oh, I
so,
well, sometimes kids pick up, they just sense things. So
to me, it was because I was with family the whole time, so I felt safe the whole time. It wasn't.
That's good.
It wasn't. It wasn't like really. I wasn't really scared of anything. It's not like what it is now compared to then. So.
Sure. You mentioned Mr. Bartos' class the other day. You want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, so junior year, I took his public speaking class. At first, when I signed up for it, I didn't really think of much of it. I thought, whatever, it's just another easy elective that I can take to get an easy A. And once I actually got into it, I started to learn that one of the main things I learned about it was public speaking isn't just speaking in front of a crowd. It isn't what you say to certain people. It's like small groups too. It's talking to friends, talking to family, and how you interact with those people. You have to know your audience, and that's one of the things that I started to learn a lot about, and that's why I'm more of a social person now than what I was when I was a freshman.
Very good. I see that you coached youth soccer. How old were the kids that you coached?
They were around 10, 11 years old. I started at my local mosque. I started a youth soccer team because we have like a Islamic school like CCD, like what the kids go through. And I thought it was a great opportunity to try it, to get like the community involved and other mosques around the area. So it worked out well.
What did you learn about working with kids of that age?
It's a lot. It's especially with multiple kids. It's a hassle. I don't know. I learned a lot from. I think it was a great experience. I would say.
You're going to focus on teaching in college then?
No. If anything, it would be high school.
So where are you looking at possibly going to school next year?
I'm deciding between St. Anselm and Providence.
So you looking at potentially joining the Peace Corps?
Yeah. Yeah, I looked into that a couple years ago, and I just thought that's a great idea to do at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it's right out of college or if it's later in life, if I retire or like I want to take a couple years off from work or whatever.
Be great.
Could you tell me what is involved with New England Youth Alliance?
Well, that goes to that goes back to the soccer thing. So.
Okay.
In the community, there's a lot of like older people that were trying to set up like a thing to get the other mosques involved. And so what we did was I helped them set up camping trips, like hiking trips, stuff to get a lot of the youth to go out more to like discover like their own like personalities and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm sorry we don't have more time, but
No problem.
you've done a great job. You have a lot of interest as the other students do, and on behalf of the Chelmsford Rotary Club, I wish you the very best. And stay in touch, particularly if you end up in the Peace Corps somewhere. Send back some messages so we know what you're doing.
All right, thank you very much.
Right.
Congratulations. Great. And this concludes April's edition of Lyons Pride, and we're celebrating April's Students of the Month. On behalf of Mr. Thomas and Dean Lyons, I want to say thank you for joining us. You can join us next month when we celebrate our May Students of the Month. Thank you.